Japanese punctuation includes various written marks, which differ from those found in European languages, as well as some not used in formal Japanese writing but frequently found in more casual writing, such as exclamation and question marks. Japanese can be written horizontally or vertically, and some punctuation marks adapt to this change in direction. Parentheses, curved brackets, square quotation marks, ellipses, dashes, and swung dashes are rotated clockwise 90 degrees when used in vertical text. Japanese punctuation marks are usually full-width. Punctuation began to be used in Japanese when translations from European languages became common in the 19th century. Japanese punctuation marks, brackets. Various types of brackets are used in Japanese. As in English, brackets are used in pairs to set apart or interject text within other text. When writing vertically, brackets are rotated clockwise 90 degrees. Each bracket occupies its own square when using genko yoshi, braces, namikako parentheses, maru kako, square brackets, kaku kako, Japanese sumatsuki kako, also known as lenticular brackets. The comma is used in many contexts, principally for marking off separate elements within a sentence. In horizontal writing, the comma is placed at the bottom right of the preceding character. In vertical writing, it is placed immediately below and to the right of the last character in a separate square if using genko yoshi. In horizontally written manuscripts that contain a mixture of Japanese and Western characters, the full-width comma may be incorporated as well. No extra space is left after a comma. Ellipsis, ellipses, tensen, or ten indicate an intentional omission or abbreviation, or a pause in speech, an unfinished thought, or, at the end of a sentence, a trailing off into silence. Ellipsis was adopted into Japanese from European languages. The ellipsis is often 3 dots or 6 dots, though variations in number of dots exist. The dots can be either on the baseline or centered between the baseline and the ascender when horizontal. The dots are centered horizontally when vertical. Other uses as a substitute for dashes. In manga, the ellipsis by itself often represents speechlessness or a pregnant pause. Full stop. The full stop is a small circle. In horizontal writing, the full stop is placed in the same position as it would be in English, that is, at the bottom right of the preceding character. In vertical writing, it is placed immediately below and to the right of the last character in a separate square if using genko yoshi. Unlike the Western full stop, it is often used to separate consecutive sentences. Rather than to finish every sentence, it is frequently left out where a sentence stands alone, or where text is terminated by a quotation mark instead. No extra space is left after a full stop. In manuscripts that contain a mixture of Japanese and Western characters, the Western full stop may be incorporated as well. Words containing full stops. Starting in the 1980s, advertising copywriters began incorporating full stops in titles and other advertising. In the 1990s, the group Morning Musume began using a full stop in its name, starting a fad for this usage. Other examples include the following: Good Person, a manga by Shin Takahashi; Ego Moni, a Japanese pop group from Hello Project; Nobuta produce, a drama series, produced and aired in 2005 by NTV. Interpunct. The interpunct or katakana middle dot is a small dot used for interword separation. It is also known as nakapochi, nakapotsu and nakaten. It has a fixed width that is the same as most kana characters. Uses include separating Japanese words where the intended meaning would be unclear if the characters were written side by side, to separate listed items instead of a comma, versus to separate foreign words and names when written in kana, and occasionally for Japanese names, particularly when there would otherwise be confusion as to where one name ends and another begins. As a substitute for a double hyphen, to separate titles, names, and positions. As a decimal point when writing numbers in kanji, in place of hyphens, dashes and colons when writing vertically. Part alternation mark. The part alternation mark is used to indicate the beginning of a song, or the beginning of the next player's part. It was most common in no-chanting books and ranga. In no books it is used to mark the beginning of each character's parts. The opening square quotation mark may also be used. Quotation marks, single quotation marks, kajikako, double quotation marks are used to mark quotes within quotes, as well as to mark book titles. They are also used sometimes in fiction to denote text that is heard through a telephone or other device. A space is any empty zone between written sections. In Japanese, the space is referred to by the transliterated English name. A Japanese space is the same width as a CJK character and is thus also called an ideographic space. In English, spaces are used for interword separation as well as separation between punctuation and words. In normal Japanese writing, no spaces are left between words, except if the writing is exclusively in hiragana or katakana, in which case spaces may be required to avoid confusion. In Japanese, a single space is often left before the first character in a new paragraph, especially when writing on Genko Yoshi, and a space is left after non-Japanese punctuation marks. A space may be left between the family and given names as well. When the character is not easily available, a direct HTML equivalent is the enamp EMSP entity which outputs the same full-width glyph. A full-width space may be used where a colon or comma would be used in English. Wave dash. The wave dash resembles a lengthened tilde, which does not exist in JISX0208. Uses in Japanese include to indicate ranges. In such cases it may be read as kara, made. To separate a title from a subtitle on the same line in English, a colon is used for this purpose. To mark subtitles in pairs, in place of dashes or brackets. To indicate origin. To indicate a long or drawn-out vowel, usually for comic acute effect. To indicate or suggest that music is playing, musical note. To suggest a ruled line, or other punctuation marks in common use. The Japanese versions of these punctuation marks are usually full-width characters. A full-width space is usually left after such marks when writing in Japanese. The colon consists of two equally sized dots centered on the same vertical line. As a rule, a colon informs the reader that what follows proves, clarifies, explains, or simply enumerates elements of what is referred to before. Although not a native Japanese punctuation mark, the colon is sometimes used, especially in academic writing. As in English, the colon is commonly used in Japanese to indicate time for lists. Exclamation mark. The exclamation pointer mark is usually used after an interjection or exclamation to indicate strong feelings or high volume, and generally marks the end of a sentence. A sentence ending in an exclamation mark is either an actual exclamation, a command, or is intended to be astonishing in some way. While there is no exclamation point in formal Japanese, it is very commonly used, especially in casual writing, fiction and manga. Question mark. In formal Japanese, no particular symbol is used to mark interrogative sentences, which end with the normal Japanese full stop. However, the question mark is very commonly used, especially in casual and creative writing and in manga. It is generally known formally as gim and fewer less formally hatana makus, but the katakana form of question mark is also common. Musical note. This sign is added to the tail of a phrase, indicating it as a part of lyrics as someone is singing the phrase. Example: musical note.